we're going to take a look at some combat now. Okay, so for the next part of the stream, I'm going to also clip this and put this on YouTube. We are going to be looking at the Ashes of Creation Alpha 2 melee weapon attack update. I was told to take a look at this. It's going to give us a good look into some combat. I know that this is a dev video, so depending on like what information they're talking about, I might jump around a little bit. The class system for Ashes does look really, really good. But this stream, okay, we had a sponsor for the last part of the stream or the video. We also have another sponsor for this video on YouTube, as well as still the stream, is going to be a company that I work with called Ewin Racing. Ewin Racing, very, very, very good company. Highly recommend their products. They have a lot of good gaming chairs and gaming desks. I know me personally, my chair is an Ewin Racing chair. I also do have the Ewin Racing gaming desk as well that they sent to me. Really like it. I've put in like 3 years on this chair, and it's been great. It's been really, really comfortable. I can't recommend it enough. I have the Champion Series chair. They have a lot of different chairs based off of the size of your body, so you can, pick whichever one is best fitting for you. But they have a really, really good deal going on their website right now. Not only can you get like a lot of money off from the Black Friday sales, and then also Cyber Monday. I think this video might come out afterwards, so there'll probably be different sales then. But regardless, if you use my code Dottz at checkout, you save 30%. Okay? The Black Friday deal that's going on right now is 25%. With my code, you save 30%. You literally save more using my code. Okay? So definitely take a look at their stuff, man. The desk, the chair, all really good. My favorite part about the desk is that the entire top is like a mouse pad. So like I don't have a mouse pad on my desk. I just like use my mouse just on the desk. It's great. But the great wireless charger is really, really good. The frame is really, really sturdy. The chairs are awesome. You can see some screenshots of chairs here. It's actually the same chair I have over here. I really can't recommend them enough. I've had people IRL also purchase chairs through Ewin and use my code. They all have said that they love them. They're so glad they bought the chair. And so you guys will not only support the stream if you buy this, but you would get an awesome gaming chair and save a lot of money in the process. So click the link in chat or in the description below. Use code Dottz at checkout. But now that that's done, we are going to get into the basic melee weapon stuff here. So let me hide that, put that up. Let's hop into it and take a listen. So this video is on Intrepid Studios channel. This is their update on the weapons. Ashes of Creation. Because I know I was really poo-poo on their combat before, but I've heard it's improved a lot. I want to skip this a little bit and get to the content. All right, here we go.
So I'm just going to start kind of walking down in this area. And Adam, Keenan, Trad, if you guys want to talk a little bit about how this process began all those months ago on defining good combat for Ashes of Creation.
Sure.
Guys like, okay.
I would say, it starts with, all of the hundreds of thousands of hours, cumulative hours of MMO we have under our belt, right?
We have a lot of hours of MMO gameplay under our belts, collectively.
We just got to push a couple buttons and we're immediately like, oh, it feels good or it doesn't feel good.
It's funny, Keenan.
Not wrong.
Say that. One of the you guys all know this because every one of you went through an interview with me, but one of the qualifying aspects of joining the team is what type of MMOs do you like to play?
Good.
Nice.
You love to hear it.
Yeah, so it starts there, and then from there we sort of do our research. We have to take a look at the state of the art, and then we study it, we form hypotheses about what exactly it is that makes things feel good or not feel good. And then we make those things in as controlled a manner as we can. And then we turn the knobs, we tweak things, we see what feels good, what doesn't.
First impressions. Animations look good. Audio is horrendous.
Feel good. We come up with some rules, some processes, and then
there sounds like there is no impact at all.
And this is what comes out.
Yeah, it's a very iterative process, right? Like, you know, none of these things are like you form your theory on paper and then you go and you make the thing and it comes out to be exactly.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe yeah, exactly. Without my own hands playing the game, I can't feel it. But I'm just saying,
Right,
from
like it starts out the first time not super great, and then
listening,
what we have to be able to do is
there needs to be a little bit more bass. Like when that hammer hits the ground, there needs to be a little bit more bass there.
engineers and designers is identify what
See, that skill sounded good. The spin.
continue to iterate on those things, and that's as long as you keep making it better each time.
They just need to add more
eventually you're
bass.
gonna end up with something good.
Bass boost.
Yeah, and for this exercise and finding what makes ashes great specifically, we wanted to approach it from the ground up, answering individual questions about our hypotheses and what we think is good, right? So we really focused on.
I like the
individual
dashes. That looks cool as
aspects,
fuck.
that we think
That
makes
hammer
good
skill looks
combat
super cool.
and answered them one at a time in a very very tight iterative process.
Combat text looks good.
We ended up at something that we think feels really, really good. So
Yeah, just playing this, I am loving the hit reacts, the visual effects, all the ancillary components that go into making the combat, but more importantly,
The animation, the movement looks very good. I completely
pacing
agree.
Of this kind of heavier weapon group. Also, as a side note,
Skill add-on for
outside
base
of
boost. Let's
combat,
go.
one of the things I've
I love
not
it.
necessarily liked about MMOs traditionally in the past is that
What have you not liked, Steven? Tell
excuse
me. What's a good word?
every portion of land is covered by some type of monster, right?
I
It kinda
agree.
gives you this weird feel, but here, like, this is a very dangerous area that we're in, the environment, and part of it gets communicated by the aspect of these rocks and like the specific types of materials that's represented here, but you don't know exactly where the threat lies per se, right? You kind of move up into an area, and if you move too far, you get the audio cue of the monsters like arising. Your character gets into the combat stance. They have some really cool aspects of animation. The animation team did an amazing job with the rolls here. I am loving, and also they're like
The animations
just,
look
like, swinging
great.
away and then flying off. That
Yeah,
is
like
so
the mobs
great.
rolling back after you kill them.
Like the
Looks
camp
really
feel
good.
of this area where you don't just see these guys scattered around all over the world. No matter where you go, there's like
Ashes
something
look
that's gonna
good.
aggro you. It's more like I'm gonna grind here for a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, Steven, you were talking about how you like how heavy the sword feels, and
Yes.
that weight impact, that is one of the combat pillars that we have been studying and honing in on in our development process. The other side of it is being also like agency. To what extent does this weapon respect your intentions? And that's the part that's important to me. I'm a classic player.
Yeah, maybe just the audio of the stream was not good, but the audio is lacking for me. I want to see the skills in a combo, though. Like when you start chaining skills in BDO, it just feels good. It does. And I think a huge part of the feel outside of just the animations is the sound. Like, I know a lot of people play MMOs and play games with their sound off, but to me, the audio is so important. Like, good sounding audio, it's just, it will make or break an ability sometimes. I really feel that. Like, one of the things I love about my Octrack in BDO is all of the dragon speak, the bass, the sound of the land literally crumbling beneath my feet. It just adds into that extra like fantasy. But this is supposed to be a big heavy weapon, and it's just like boom, boom, boom. Like I need more punch.
I come from traditional MMOs.
I need
right?
more
Like,
smash.
I want to be able to move and attack at the same time.
Right.
I
Yes, and that was
agree.
a huge point of feedback. Actually,
Move
that
and
we
attack.
received
Retweet.
during Alpha 1 was that we started with this more root motion approach to the basic weapon attacks.
No, being able to move and attack is
And
good. Action
ultimately,
combat, baby.
we called an audible mid-test I remember it was in that end of July or beginning of August month where we decided to implement a completely split body approach and get player feedback. And of course, the feedback was very positive, resoundingly positive, right? That players prefer that agency over that weightedness, but they also, there's a little bit of a conflict there because they also didn't like the floaty feeling which comes along with not having the weighted approach. So how did that play into your guys's defining?
And that's a hard middle ground to achieve, is giving you the agency to move and cast, but also making it feel weighted by not having you have to stand still. Like it's a fine act. I don't want to sound like I'm just like, oh, it's super easy. No, it's very difficult. It's a difficult thing to achieve. But I think games like ESO have done it well. BDO has done it really well. And I feel like for you don't want your combat to feel floaty. It needs to be impactful. You know? See, I never found ESO floaty either. But at least to me, there's something about I feel like it's one of those things where it's hard to explain. I feel like it's just a feeling, you know? I feel like the best way I can think of to describe it is it's the combination of the audio with the animation that occurs when your ability hits your opponent. If that makes sense. Like when I leapt on somebody, the audio, the fact that when I landed on them, they get stunned. Again, the ground just crumbles beneath my feet. Feels good. Feels impactful. You know? Same thing with BDO. When I use Doombringer on my Draconia, I jump up into the air and smash the back down to the ground and get the sick animation. The ground crumbles beneath my feet. Nice amount of bass. You know? Like... the same thing, charge into jabs on the Magpar. When you charge in, you knock your opponent down. There's an audio cue there. Then you jab them while they're on the ground. There's good audio cues there. You get good visuals on your opponent. I feel like that's where floatiness maybe can occur. Poor audio and not enough visual feedback on your opponent. I'm not a game designer. I don't know. But from what I can tell about what I would think makes combat feel floaty, I think that's what it is. I think. I don't know. It's like a feeling, you know. It's more of a feeling, you know.
On the weapon attacks, how did you blend those two?
Yeah, so we kind of approached it from looking at player agency primarily, as Keenan had said. And
this weapon looks heavy, but it doesn't sound heavy.
Player agency the best are those like classic MMOs, right? Players really like how smooth the classic MMO feel, how much player agency they get.
Like, did you guys hear that sound when the hammer hit the ground?
Handled player agency the best are those like classic MMOs, right? Players really like how smooth.
He's summoning a giant
MMO feel, how much
hammer of light above his head. This should make a ear-shattering noise. Obviously, I'm hyperbolating a little bit, but this should be loud. This should feel like fuck yeah, you know, you know what I'm saying? Like, and listen closely. I'll even raise the volume all the way.
Player agency they get.
You know? I know I'm being very critical because it is just a concept. It is just a showcase, but I'm just trying to give my feedback as to like hey, when you're looking to improve this going forward, these are the things that I would look at. Obviously, I'm very aware they're not done. They made that disclaimer in the beginning. I know it is pre-alpha, pre. Okay, but yeah, I'm hoping that they are just demonstrating a concept and not necessarily you get what I'm saying. But I would say of everything, I actually think the visuals look pretty good. I think it's just, at least for me, I just think it's the audio that needs work. Yeah, where's the base, dude?
Out of it, and then we took that and we tried building this sort of impact and weight on top of it, really making attacks feel satisfying, making it feel like
that
the
spin move
inertia
sounds
of
good. Like
weapon
as you hear like the
are accurate,
like
physically
building up.
accurate. And we accomplished that through a number of ways. Really, again, talking about the
I think they do show daggers later on. I think they show another weapon later on. See, 2 basic melee weapons. I think they show daggers later on, and then I also have the ranged weapons. I have a video for the ranged weapons as well.
process. We tried identifying each individual aspect of what we got out of these, more modern action games, and tried incorporating that into our classic MMO.
No, the audio is bad.
I
Visuals look great.
I think it all comes down to looking at it not as a binary of, are we doing split body or are we doing root motion combat? It's looking at everything as modular pieces and then dialing in those numbers to make something that feels high in player agency.
Oh, here we go.
feels
Here's the
very
daggers.
impactful, like it has a lot of inertia. It feels very physical.
Or here's a dagger.
Yeah, my litmus test for agency in combat is take any moment in combat, pause time.
Are you
look
gonna
down
equip
at your
another one?
hands, Look at a keyboard. The buttons that you're pressing should be the directions that your character is moving. So with these weapons, even though there are little bits of root motion here or there, they're always respecting your WASD.
Oh, that looks like a weapon swap. So I guess you do get 2 weapons.
I think another thing that you guys did that helps with that is the timing of which that gets registered.
Blocking sounds good.
It's not, at one point
Blocking looks cool as well. I like that you actually block with your weapon,
It was at the beginning of the attack, and that just felt like if I decided to change my mind and go left instead of right in the middle of
Here, we got the daggers back out. Let's see.
It's too bad. It already kind of cued that in.
That's bad though. Just skip. That's not so good. Okay.
Now what you guys are doing is
I'm sorry. That needs a little bit of work.
like swing time, right?
Yep, it's
Got it.
constantly
This.
looking at your input and adjusting.
Now I've equipped these daggers, this dual wielding, these dual daggers.
Let's see,
Talk to me
Steve.
a little bit about the differences between the
Show it up.
heavier, weapon group and the light weapon group.
Yeah, so initially in our investigation, we wanted to start with the light weapons to figure out how
Yeah, the freaking daggers sound heavier than a greatsword.
to really blend the weight
Looks
of
cool
the
though.
attack,
I like the effect.
and introduce or start with player agency and then introduce that weight of the attack into it. We figured the least risky weapon to start with would be the lightest weapon possible. Little
The daggers
that
look
are
awesome.
very fast,
Yeah,
very
this
high
looks
player
cool as
agency,
shit.
and not necessarily focused on big weight, much like a heavy sword. So we started with that and tried introducing little bits and pieces here and there, like small bits of root motion to get that nice dashy feel in. When
Yeah,
when you're
yeah, I
attacking,
noticed that. Yeah, they got
and,
rooted
playing
certain
with
times.
inertia. I know Keenan might want to talk more about the
Oh,
animation timing sheets.
The
we
lack of
introduced
audio.
for
Ah.
figuring out these timings that feel good.
Yeah, that's part of our process for communicating cross-department is using frame timing diagrams and being specific about how we not only
The
want
daggers
to animate,
look
but also how we wanna
awesome.
move during different frames of the animation, and we found that to be very successful. But one of the things that makes the daggers different than the sword is that the daggers never really slow you down.
okay.
It's respecting your directions, but the swords will actually slow you down at certain times. Like leading up into the strike, your split body movement is sort of blending down toward 0.
That's
and then you
cool.
Strike, and then it blends back up toward to 1.
Wow, wow,
Daggers
wow.
are not doing any blending like that. You're just split body, and then you're striking, and then you're back into split
That's
body.
smart as
It's
shit.
like a seamless process.
That's cool. I like that. To me, the only thing that looks bad, or in this case sounds bad, is the audio. The visuals look cool. The combat looks pretty fun. I have to say, back when Ashes was originally coming out and being teased and being talked about, and I looked at the combat, I was like, "Eey," but they've clearly done a lot of work, and it looks very improved. And I'm all for a Guild Wars 2 style of combat. You know, I have my issues with Guild Wars 2, but none of them are related to the combat. So going to it for that kind of Guild Wars 2 ESO style of model combat wise, I think is great. I just think they desperately need to work on audio. Visuals though,
Yeah,
feel,
just playing with
the
directionals
root,
here. I
the
mean, yeah,
locomotion
animation
looks
team, they did
great.
a phenomenal job. I'm loving the kind of foot placement and movement. the
Yeah, that looks so
strafing
cool.
feeling on the body there. I know.
Yeah,
Alexi
notice when
did
he's
a lot
doing
of
like the
work on
swings, the
IK
feet are
as well.
moving
You
with
can
it.
see, like, when you're,
The
kind of
animations
stepping
are
up different forces.
fantastic.
It feels really good to play.
Oh yeah, considering how
Dagger swings actually sound pretty good in the air.
We are an animation-driven. Our combat system is.
They're pretty good.
It was super important that the animators, get all of that right, and they absolutely knocked it out of the park. I mean, one of the biggest things I think to making good feeling
Sword still
attacks
sounds so bad.
is getting all of the departments involved in what feels good.
I think it's just the
great
greatsword. The dagger sounded great. It's the greatsword sounds like ass.
So like in the process, we started with chopping up animations to build an ability that we thought felt good, and then we wanted to pass that off to animation to finalize those animations by chopping up our abilities and making animations that feel good, and then we can all loop everyone back together and finalize that ability. VFX has the same process too, so it's a bunch of different departments iterating on a very micro scale to build something that is just awesome.
There's a good amount of visual weight
Definitely
behind the
had to take a
greatsword
deep
though, which I
breath when
like.
We went to them like, hey, you know those 3-part weapon combos that we like so much? We want different ones for each direction that you can move in.
Oh, that's
And also
cool.
you need to be able to weave between the directionals at any time.
That's true. I didn't think about that.
One of the
That's a lot.
interesting and
Huh.
is always a point of contention for those of us who have perhaps played different games and have become accustomed to specific visual representation of these damage floating text, right? And I want to showcase a little bit. I'm going to let them hit on me for a little bit just so you can kind of see directionally damage you take, which is indicated in this red number, floats towards your left-hand side. And when you do damage to a target, they float to your right-hand side. Now, one of the very important aspects of these floating texts is providing the player with customization options that they can.
I think the text looks fine.
Adjust the size of the floating text. They can adjust.
Oh, dude, this is literally the most I've ever looked in Ashes of Creation. I'm mostly doing this just because I've gotten so many requests for it recently, and I've been asked about Ashes like so much that I've just decided, we're gonna do full React, Andy. React to this on stream. I get good stream content. I clip this down, and now I have YouTube videos. So it's a win-win for me. But yeah, I've been getting asked about it a lot. And plus, I mean, just for my own knowledge, I kind of want to learn more about the game because I really have not looked into it all that much. So I figured it was about time. I think the greatsword actually matches the theme of the game, unlike a certain greatsword. I agree. The greatsword in New World looks like it should be in Final Fantasy with the size of that damn thing. This looks appropriately sized. The visual weight's good. It's just audio. I'm being a little bit critical on.
Icons to indicate the ability that's used for those floating text, and importantly, excuse me, we also call out the crits that you do in a separate way, how they pop in. They're slightly above those the other numbers. And then more so, we also have additional functionality for cumulative damage value. So I'm going to kind of go through that. You'll see here as I press different option. Now we've changed the colors. Whoops, hold on. Let me see. Make sure. Is that color going off differently, or do I not have my... Hold on.
Still yellow.
Is it? Okay, let me try this very quick. Oh, maybe that's not. Hold on, let me find a different monster.
I didn't think it would work for a greatsword. I feel like the cumulative damage number would be something that would go off for like a dot.
I hope that's working. If it's not, we can show that a little later.
There's the crit at the top left.
Press this button. Oh, here we go. Okay, so you see the color is changing now, and that's something that the player has agency over, right? You can assign different types of colors that you want. That was changing. I think the one I was pressing actually was changing the size. So let me try to change that size again. There you go. You can see that size now is larger. You can showcase XP if you want. You can bolden the numbers a little bit as well.
That's
But
cool.
providing kind of maximum flexibility and character customization, player customization options for these floating text, I think is super important. But I love
Nice.
the way
I like
they
that.
feel that kind of classic, very almost, what were we saying, Keenan? Very vanilla vibe.
Oh,
I'm about it.
Sometimes the best flavor is just vanilla.
I like that. I like that, dude.
Yeah, but the UI team's done a great job on the functionality for that. I think it's feeling pretty
Yeah, I
good.
think the combat text was great.
Yeah, that's very cool.
I like the scrapes on the ground from the sword. I also think look really cool. I think that's a nice touch.
Where are we now when it comes to kind of the spectrum of light to heavy attack options on these basic weapon attacks? What's kind of next for this as we showcase it to the players?
Well, I think we've sort of defined our spectrum with the light and the heavy when it comes to agency versus weight versus impact. When you look at the heavy, I think we're close to saying that this is sort of the most we want to compromise agency for weight and impact. And once we have that upper bound, we can sort of play with all of the different intermediate points, right, as we start to build out other weapons. But we have interesting explorations as well in how all of this translates into ranged and also ultimates. We might take the limiters off for ultimates and just see what the coolest things we can make.
Okay.
That's going to be pretty interesting. Another component.
One thing I can say, not really particularly to do with this video, but just from listening to the team talk, is just I just like what they have to say. You know, I feel like it sounds like the team is made up of people who have played the games before and have been involved in the genre, and I don't really hear anything that I'm like, wow, what are they saying? Like, why were they, like, what are you talking about? Like, everything that they're saying, it makes a lot of sense. It sounds good, and yeah, it's going to be cool to see how the combat continues to evolve. I like what they're saying.
By the way, of defining kind of the weapon attacks is also the visual effects side, and weapon trailings, the intensity of those weapon trailings, how they scale based on the type of weapon, the level of weapon that you have, but not just the trailing on the weapon per se, but also the ground decals. Like for this heavy weapon,
yes, the ground stuff looks super cool. Yeah,
the ground is, I love that look.
Yeah, me
and
too.
even on the backswing, like when I hit the ground behind me, it's causing that
such a
decal.
nice touch.
Yeah, and a lot of that stuff gets down into the really low-level systems details. Like, we want to pass the artists as much information as we can about actual combat ongoings so that they can inform the effects as precisely as they can, or as precisely as they need to, rather.
Yeah, and we really wanted to build on a technical side. We really wanted to build the combat system to, like I said earlier, be as physical as possible. So we have it very animation driven. Everything is handled based on a reference of animation as opposed to like nebulous timings, right? Which allows it to feel very impactful and very responsive. So when you hit the ground decal actually appears on the ground when it should. You know, that's something that may not be seen in other MMOs. So we really wanted to make a big focus on that and
yeah,
focus on the responsiveness.
I like the dust getting kicked up. It's such a nice touch.
Is actually, you guys are seeing the Pyre male for the first time in game. I know we've showed him on the stream before. As these character races get
the default
fleshed
stance
out,
could
here
use a
you're
little bit of
seeing
work
him
though.
in full flesh and blood, so to speak. Virtual flesh and blood, I guess.
Could use a little bit of work
in the game, and that's pretty cool to see. I can't wait for players to kind of get a look at the customization options.
The sword looks light in his hands
for this race. Also, another thing that's you know, really important, I think, is the audio component, and Kat has done a phenomenal job in both the sound design for creatures as well as for the weapon. And actually, you guys haven't seen anything yet because we have a lot in store on that front that I think is going to be pretty cool. And it's all part of the presentation, right? It's all part of what makes
I don't think that the sounds are necessarily all bad. They're just not loud enough, and they're not bassy enough. Granted, the one for the hammer that comes down is very bad. So I think the sound needs to be iterated on more, which I know I've said like 87 times.
Also, the auditory component in that. Talk to me a little bit about the capabilities that
Let's
the
hear
team
audio.
has,
Let's hear.
When it comes to accessing combat and
I'm not sure, dog. We're gonna have to see.
Yeah, similar to VFX, we plan on piping in a lot of information. You know, that's something we've been working a lot on recently, is tooling for VFX and sound effects, right? It's a super important part, as you said, of the package in order to sell that weight and that immersion in the game. And there's going to be a lot coming online, so I'm you know, really excited to see what we have in store for that. So yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if we'll ever show it on stream, but we're building a sort of singular tool that all of the teams can use to build abilities and tweak them.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Sound effects, visual effects, animation, design, engineering, all using the same tool, grounded in animation, you know, to build these abilities.
The daggers sound good though.
Another component, Adam, which you guys worked on.
Yeah, no, the resting stance for the 2H needs some work. Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about the kind of visuals that are provided through these additional camera controls for abilities in combat.
Yeah, so I mean, the word of the day has been impact and weight, right? And a lot of that is sold through what the player sees. You know, we didn't want anything to be nauseating or over the top, and you know.
I'm blocking you, dude. Don't come at me, bro. I'm blocking right now. Oh, the dagger block is hilarious. I love it.
People can adjust it in option settings.
I love it.
We wanted something that would
block. Do it.
Would sell a lot.
Yes,
of weight,
look at him go.
Without, you know, being too over the top and too sort of cartoonish, right? And so we implemented a few different camera.
Okay, that sounded a little bit better.
Effects, sort of cartoonish.
Let's listen. That sounded a little bit better.
Right. And so
it still needs to be louder, heavier, heavier. I guess that's the word I have for the 2H effects. They need to be heavier. Turn up the volume and the bass.
A few different camera effects, you know, things
turn her up.
Camera shake, blur,
turn her up.
Things involved, and really tried to.
Whoa! Wait a minute. Was that like a transitional effect? That was sick as fuck. Watch, he goes from like the
effects, you know, things like.
Or is he doing that spin with the daggers?
And a few other things involved.
Oh, he's doing that with the daggers. I thought that was a 2H ability.
And really.
That's super weird. You should not. Wait, what?
And so we implemented.
He did the hammer ability with the daggers too?
A few different.
No. What? I'm so confused. I think the abilities are not stuck to the weapons. I don't know. Yeah, I mean, certain abilities I think should be stuck to weapons, and certain abilities should be class specific. Again, like ESO. Yeah, hammer's probably a class ability. Okay, that makes sense.
You know, things.
I just think it looks weird. Like this spin with the daggers looks weird. Because look, he has both of his hands out like he's holding a greatsword. I think the dagger spin should look different.
And really tried to maximize, you know.
Like that looks so weird.
Our bang for the buck with those to sell the weight of these attacks, and it really adds a lot, especially I've noticed a lot of how your peripheral
I don't know, man. I don't know about that. I feel like they might need to do some visual adjustments based on your weapon, because that's something that ESO does really well, is that certain abilities kind of look a little bit different based off of whether you're holding a 2H. Like a Flame Lash is one that comes to my mind, of like the Flame Lash ability looks a little bit different with a 2H than it does with like a dagger or a staff. Granted, I think the 2H Flame Lash in ESO looks horrendous, but that's neither here nor there. I think it's just to show us it's not going to be like that. It might just be concept. I hope so. I am remembering, and if you're watching this on YouTube, do you remember, I understand that this is all early, conceptual, it's being worked on. I'm just giving my feedback based off of what's being presented.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it.
I like the way they hold the daggers too, the one down and the one up. I think it's pretty cool.
Looking forward, as we continue to flesh out both the medium melee weapons, and we'll be showcasing our ranged weapons in combat in a future stream.
We're going to watch that after this.
Be talking a little bit about and showcasing, which you guys got a little sneak peek on a few abilities, some class kits and the ability system.
Me too, Dog Wolf. Me too.
And what we're able to accomplish for Alpha 2. Of course, you know, we promised at the beginning of this year that you guys would be getting some pretty exciting showcases of all the work that's being done on the project towards Alpha 2. You got that with the character creator, you got that with the seasons and weather systems. Now you're starting to get a little bit of touch on the combat side. And I know that there's a lot of stuff that design has been prepping around, you know, the work that's been done on these class kits and the different archetypes that are going to be playable across Alpha 2. But there's a lot in the store, and there's a lot of functionality that the engineering team has provided our designers when it comes to both the functionality of certain
pacifist gaming, dude. Let's
as
go.
Well as the synergies possible between them. You want to talk a little bit, Adam, Keenan, and Trad, about what's possible given our ability toolkit?
Definitely.
Man.
I mean,
I like the cave just flowing in the wind.
You know, prototype process has been kind of, you know, 2 steps. One of those steps was what, you know,
physics look
Matt
good.
and Keenan were talking about a bit there with, you know, their hypotheses on, you know, what.
I think there's something wrong with the audio on the greatsword, because the hammer on the daggers sounds good, but the hammer on the greatsword sounds bad. I feel like the greatsword was bugged for this showcase.
Makes good feeling combat, and they've done a great job on that. But the other side of that was also just, you know, coming up with these almost mock class kits. And, you know, the idea was this might not be the final class, but there will be things that we can take from it that we like and then get rid of that we don't like, and let's just make something. And you guys have
okay, there's some audio. We got it.
Already from the Assassin and stream, and now you're seeing something from the Weapon Master. That was the other one that we took just to experiment with and contrast these different types of combat. And what I was kind of going for here was, you know, getting class synergies in place where, you know, maybe, you know, for example, you've got a thing that if you kill someone with one of your other abilities, it'll reset the cooldown on one of these abilities. And there was a lot of that kind of stuff going on in this kit, whereas there wasn't so much of that interaction.
No, the audio needs some work. It really does.
It's an area that we felt we could really improve. And the good
certain weapons definitely sound better than others.
Whole exercise that we did is we came up with a lot of cool abilities. You're not seeing them all here, but they, you know, what it really did for us is it developed our tools, because we realized, oh, we can't do this or we can't do that.
I also don't like the idle animation for the 2H.
Adam and Keenan here would kind of go back and forth and say, like, you know,
the actual combat animations look good though. Look really good.
We can't currently do, and then they would take that and they would make it possible with the tools. So we're really putting our best foot forward here. That way we are going into like the full class design, we're going to have a lot of stuff that we need to get the ground running.
Absolutely. Oh, go ahead, Keenan.
Oh, I was just gonna sort of build on Trad's point. Like all of these exercises, or throughout all of these exercises, we're very careful on the
Audio seems
ability system
buggy.
side to make sure that when we're adding something new, we make it as modular as possible. We really
Smart.
want to think of these abilities as being made out of like Lego pieces, not being sort of like molded from a single block of clay. So whenever we're
That's
trying something new,
really
build
smart
something
from a
new,
design
that's a new
aspect,
piece
really
that we
fucking
can
smart.
that we have to explore and combine with all of the other pieces that we've already made.
Absolutely. The other thing that's important, is important probably for players to understand with regards to Alpha 2, is that this is another testing ground, right? Alpha 2 is a test, and in Alpha 2, we're going to represent components of the class kits and the ability system that may not make it to launch, but it is a perfect area for us to kind of get both player feedback as well as for us to log data around its usage, its impact, its feasibility as essentially a component of our class kits, right? We're going to be experimenting a lot with regards to that for Alpha 2. So it's very exciting.
Oh, definitely. We're just getting started.
Yes, absolutely. Well, guys, this has been a fun stream. I think.
All right, I think that's it. Not bad. Not bad. Definitely a huge improvement from the combat I've seen in the past. Very, very big improvement. You'll love to see it. Very happy about that. Looks very cool. Very, very cool. Happy to see it is improved by quite a bit. Audio, I just think, is the biggest. I know I've harped on it all video, but the audio is the biggest thing that needs work. I think the animations look cool. I think the certain animations with certain weapons need to be adjusted. Like I think some of the animations that looked very 2H-y with the daggers looked a little wonky. So I just think kind of smoothing those out would also really, really help. Again, I don't know if it's like what custom said and it's just a concept, but just going based off of what was shown, I think even if it's a class ability, just like maybe slightly changing it based off of the look of the weapons, just to make the animation look smoother, would make a lot more sense. It's weird to hold your daggers like this and swing around like you're swinging with butter knives, like I think it's a little weird. But like the dagger light and heavy attacks though looked really sick. Definitely a very good starting point. I think they have the right idea with it being modular, a lot like Lego pieces. I really liked that one dev said that's incredibly smart. And yeah, I think it's headed in a good direction, man.